Hamilton raises many doubts with Ferrari. Did they rush in getting rid of Sainz? Stay tuned, and I'll reveal exclusively what a Ferrari executive thinks. Subscribe only if you love Lewis Hamilton and want him to become an 8-time world champion. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari was never just another driver switch. It was never meant to be a simple transition, a routine contract negotiation, or a mere change of scenery. This was supposed to be the dawn of a new era, a defining moment in Formula One history, a cataclysmic power shift that would send tremors through the sport for years to come. The most successful team in history joining forces with the most decorated driver of the modern era in pursuit of the ultimate prize, the elusive 8th World Championship. It was supposed to be a spectacle, a narrative so perfect that it practically wrote itself. Hamilton, in Ferrari red, stepping into the cockpit of a machine built for glory, channeling the spirit of Schumacher, ascending to new heights as he waged war against the seemingly invincible Red Bull empire. It was supposed to be the moment that changed everything, the revival of a sleeping giant, the rebirth of a dynasty, the final chapter in a career defined by defying expectations. The energy was electric. The anticipation was unprecedented. The dream was alive. Subscribe only if you love Lewis Hamilton and want him to become an 8-time world champion. But not everyone believed in the dream. Not everyone saw Hamilton's move to Ferrari as a masterstroke. And not everyone was willing to buy into the fairy tale that millions had already embraced. Enter Bernie Ecclestone, the architect of modern Formula One, the puppet master who built the empire from the ground up, the man whose words still carry weight despite his departure from the throne. He is not just an observer of the sport, he is a relic of its past, a voice of authority that refuses to be silenced. And now, that voice has turned its sights on Hamilton, on Ferrari, on the very idea that this union could lead to greatness. His words are not cautious warnings or tempered doubts. They are a full-scale verbal assault, a cold, ruthless dissection of why Hamilton's move to Ferrari is doomed to fail before it even begins. In Ecclestone's eyes, this is not a new chapter of triumph, it is the beginning of the end. To Ecclestone, Hamilton is no longer the force of nature that once dominated the sport. He is not the same driver who crushed his opposition with clinical precision, who dismantled the grid year after year with an air of inevitability, who turned Mercedes into an unstoppable juggernaut. No, in Ecclestone's world, Hamilton is a shadow of his former self, a driver in decline, a man clinging to past glory rather than forging new ones. The 7 titles? Convenient circumstances. The records? A product of superior machinery rather than pure talent. The dominance? A mirage built on a foundation of the fastest car and the weakest competition. And now, as he steps into Ferrari, Ecclestone believes the illusion will finally be shattered. According to Ecclestone, Ferrari is not a team built for Hamilton. It is a team built for Charles Leclerc. A team that has already chosen its future, that has already aligned its resources, its development, its vision around the young Monegasque prodigy. In Ecclestone's view, Hamilton is not stepping into a leading role, he is stepping into a political minefield, a team that will never fully embrace him, a structure that will never revolve around him the way Mercedes once did. The whispers of favoritism, the undertones of internal conflict, the suggestion that Hamilton will always be an outsider in a team that values heritage and long-term commitment over immediate impact, all of it, in Ecclestone's mind, spells disaster. Ferrari is not a democracy. It is an empire. And in Ecclestone's version of history, Hamilton will never be crowned its king. Subscribe only if you love Lewis Hamilton and want him to become an 8-time world champion. But Ecclestone's skepticism does not stop at Ferrari's internal dynamics. No, his doubts cut much deeper. They attack the very foundation of Hamilton's ability. The raw talent. The instinct. The fire that once burned so fiercely. In Ecclestone's view, Hamilton's prime is behind him. His peak was in the past. His sharpness has dulled. He is no longer the relentless warrior who would fight tooth and nail for every inch of track, who would extract every ounce of performance from his machine, who would seize victory from the jaws of defeat with sheer force of will. Instead, Ecclestone sees a driver softened by years of dominance, cushioned by luxury, distracted by outside ventures, disconnected from the hunger that once made him great. And now, in an environment as ruthless as Ferrari, against competition as fierce as Verstappen, against a teammate as politically favored as Leclerc, Ecclestone believes Hamilton will flounder. He will struggle. He will falter. And ultimately, he will fail. Ecclestone's words are more than just predictions. They are provocations, challenges, direct assaults on Hamilton's legacy. They are designed to ignite controversy, to stir debate, to force the world to question whether Hamilton's greatness was ever truly his own or merely a product of circumstance. And for the millions who have idolized Hamilton, who have celebrated his every triumph, who have defended his every setback, this is a direct attack on their belief in him. The war of opinions has begun. The battle lines have been drawn. Subscribe only if you love Lewis Hamilton and want him to become an 8-time world champion. But history has shown that when the world doubts Lewis Hamilton, when critics write him off, when the skeptics sharpen their knives and prepare their eulogies, he finds a way to respond. He has spent his entire career proving people wrong, shattering expectations, breaking records that were once thought untouchable. And if Ecclestone's words have done anything, they have added fuel to the fire, given Hamilton yet another reason to fight, to prove, to defy. The season has not yet begun, but the stage is set. The anticipation is reaching a fever pitch. The tension is crackling in the air. Hamilton's Ferrari debut will not just be a race, it will be a statement, a test, a reckoning. The doubters will be watching, waiting for confirmation that their words were justified. The believers will be holding their breath, hoping for a flash of brilliance, for a moment of magic, for a sign that Hamilton still has what it takes to conquer the sport once more. The lights will go out. The engines will roar. The battle will commence. And in that moment, the words of Bernie Ecclestone will hang heavy in the air. Will they be proven right? Or will they become just another chapter in the long storied history of those who underestimated Lewis Hamilton? The answer is coming. And when it arrives, Formula One will never be the same again. Subscribe only if you love Lewis Hamilton and want him to become an 8-time world champion. These are not casual remarks whispered in passing. They are the kind of words that send shockwaves through the entire Formula One ecosystem, the kind that force teams to re-evaluate their strategies, the kind that ignite debates on every motorsport panel, and the kind that fuel speculation at an unprecedented level. These are the kinds of statements that opponents seize upon, critics dissect with relentless scrutiny, and fans either rally behind or weaponize as ammunition. This is not just another driver changing teams. This is a seismic shift, an event so monumental that its ripple effects are being felt across the entire sport before a single lap has even been completed. Hamilton is stepping into uncharted territory, walking into the most politically volatile, historically complex, and emotionally charged team in all of Formula One. Ferrari is not just another racing outfit, it is a gladiatorial coliseum where careers are made, reputations are shattered, and legends are either forged in fire or consumed by the weight of expectation. It is a team with an unrivaled legacy, but also a team notorious for its infighting, its relentless media scrutiny, and its history of internal power struggles. Hamilton is not just joining a team, he is immersing himself in a battleground where alliances shift, loyalties are tested, and history has shown that even the most talented drivers can find themselves lost in the chaos. According to Bernie Ecclestone, a man who has seen it all and orchestrated much of what has shaped modern Formula One, Hamilton is not just stepping into the lion's den, he is doing so with a target on his back. And the threats are not merely external. The real danger may not come from Red Bull's dominance or Mercedes' potential resurgence, but from within Ferrari itself. This is a team where politics have often dictated performance, where internal battles have sometimes overshadowed on-track success, and where drivers are not just fighting the competition, but their own teammates, their own engineers, and even the expectations of an entire nation. The skepticism surrounding Hamilton's move is not unfounded. His arrival at Ferrari comes at a defining moment in his career, at a crossroads that could either cement his legacy as the greatest driver of all time or mark the beginning of a decline that critics have long been waiting to pounce on. The past few seasons have been an unrelenting struggle. Ever since the controversial ending of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where a decision that remains one of the most contentious in motorsport history robbed him of what would have been a record-breaking 8th world title, Hamilton has been chasing redemption. But the path back to the top has been anything but smooth. The ground effect era of Formula One has been merciless to Mercedes. The once dominant force, the team that rewrote the record books with Hamilton at the helm, has found itself slipping further behind as Red Bull ascended to an almost untouchable level of superiority. The engineering miscalculations, the aerodynamic shortcomings, the persistent struggles with porpoising, all of it has resulted in 2 years of frustration, where Hamilton has been forced to contend with a reality that no 7-time world champion ever expects to face: mediocrity. The numbers tell a sobering story. In 2022, Hamilton, for the first time in his career, went an entire season without a single victory. It was George Russell, his younger, hungrier, and unrelentingly ambitious teammate, who delivered Mercedes' only win of the season. For the first time, Hamilton was being outperformed within his own garage, and the whispers began to grow louder. Was he past his prime? Had the relentless pursuit of perfection that once defined him begun to fade? Was he, as some dared to suggest, simply no longer capable of returning to his dominant best? In 2023, there were flashes of brilliance, moments where the Hamilton of old resurfaced, reminding everyone why he is considered one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport. But the reality remained unchanged. Red Bull was operating on another level, Mercedes was still playing catch-up, and Hamilton was no longer fighting for championships. He was fighting for podiums, for relevance, for the mere possibility of challenging for wins when circumstances allowed. For a driver who built his career on rewriting history, on shattering records with an almost effortless dominance, this was unfamiliar territory, and the frustration was evident. The fire still burned, but was it burning bright enough? And now, he has made the most audacious move of his career. A move that could either be his greatest triumph or his most dramatic downfall. Ferrari is not a team that allows for half measures. There is no patience for adaptation, no room for extended transition periods. Success is demanded instantly. The Tifosi expect results, the Italian media is relentless, and Ferrari itself is unforgiving in its pursuit of glory. The weight of expectation is crushing, the margin for error is razor-thin, and the internal dynamics of the team are notoriously treacherous. This is a team where past champions have either ascended to godlike status or found themselves cast aside, swallowed by the relentless pressure. Fernando Alonso, a driver of undisputed talent, came agonizingly close but never achieved the dream. Sebastian Vettel, a four-time world champion, arrived as the heir to Schumacher's throne but left broken, unable to deliver the title that Ferrari so desperately craved. Even Michael Schumacher himself, the greatest driver to ever wear Ferrari red, had to endure years of struggle before reaching the promised land. And now, Hamilton is taking on that same challenge, but under circumstances that are unlike anything Ferrari has faced before. The biggest question remains, will Ferrari truly back him as their number one driver, or will the intra-team rivalry with Charles Leclerc explode into a full-scale war? Leclerc has been the face of Ferrari for years. He is the man the team has built itself around, the driver the Tifosi have pinned their hopes on. He is young, immensely talented, and fiercely determined to bring Ferrari back to the top. And now, Hamilton's arrival threatens to disrupt that entire dynamic. The battle within Ferrari will not just be about who is faster on track, it will be about influence, about control, about who shapes the future of the Scuderia. Already, the tension is building. Every comment, every glance exchanged in the garage, every minor detail will be scrutinized to an absurd degree. The pressure is astronomical. The stakes are unparalleled. And the expectations are nothing short of brutal. Hamilton is stepping into a role that will test every ounce of his resilience, every fiber of his mental strength, every facet of his ability to perform under the most intense spotlight in the sport. But for all the questions, for all the doubts, for all the speculation, one undeniable truth remains. Hamilton has never backed down from a fight. He has never shied away from adversity. He has built his career on defying expectations, on silencing doubters, on proving that he is not just one of the greatest drivers of all time, but the greatest. And now, as he prepares for what could be the most defining season of his legendary career, the entire world is watching, waiting, anticipating. This is not just another season. This is not just another driver change. This is the beginning of something monumental. The battle lines have been drawn. The countdown has begun. And when the lights go out on the first race of the season, Formula One will witness a spectacle unlike anything it has ever seen before. The war for supremacy is about to begin, and Lewis Hamilton is stepping onto the battlefield with one goal, and one goal only, to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that he is still the undisputed king of Formula One. Bernie Ecclestone's skepticism about Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari is not just casual doubt. It is a deeply ingrained belief, forged from decades of watching the internal politics of Maranello devour even the greatest drivers. He does not see this as an opportunity for Hamilton to reinvent himself. He sees it as a high-risk gamble that is destined to end in frustration and disappointment. He has seen what happens to outsiders who step into the fortress that is Ferrari. He knows the patterns, the internal struggles, the invisible forces that dictate who thrives and who is discarded. And in his eyes, Hamilton is stepping into a fight he cannot win. Ferrari is not just a racing team, it is an institution, a dynasty built on legacy, nationalism, and an almost religious commitment to its own identity. It is a team that operates under its own set of rules, its own philosophy, its own internal hierarchies that have time and time again proven to be a nightmare for those who do not fit the mold. And in Ecclestone's mind, Hamilton is walking into an environment that will never fully accept him. Because Ferrari already has its chosen one. Charles Leclerc is not just a driver for Ferrari, he is Ferrari. He is the embodiment of the team's hopes and dreams, the man they have invested years in, the driver they have shaped into their future. He has been through the wars. He has suffered through mechanical failures at the worst possible moments, endured heartbreak after heartbreak, swallowed the pain of seeing championship aspirations crushed under the weight of strategic incompetence. He has been loyal through all of it, never once looking elsewhere, never once questioning whether Ferrari was the right place for him. He has bled for this team, and Ferrari, in return, has molded its vision around him. And now, Hamilton arrives, 7-time world champion, living legend, global icon. But to Ferrari, does that even matter? Ecclestone does not think so. In his mind, Ferrari will never see Hamilton as their own. He is a Mercedes man, a driver whose greatest triumphs were achieved in silver, a driver whose legacy is intertwined with a rival team. And at Ferrari, legacy matters. Identity matters. Hamilton may have the trophies, but Leclerc has the loyalty of Maranello, and in Ecclestone's eyes, that is worth more than anything. Then comes the brutal reality of team dynamics. Every great driver who has arrived at Ferrari has had to fight battles off the track as much as on it. The Scuderia is not a place of equal opportunity. It is a team that picks its leader and rallies around them, often at the expense of their teammates. And Ecclestone is convinced that Hamilton will never be that leader. He will always be fighting against something bigger than just his opponents on track. He will be fighting against history, against favoritism, against a structure that is built to support Leclerc first and foremost. Even if Hamilton is faster, even if he delivers, will Ferrari ever truly give him everything he needs to succeed? Will they sacrifice Leclerc's chances for his? Ecclestone is certain that they will not. And what of Hamilton himself? Even if he somehow manages to break through the political labyrinth of Ferrari, even if he finds a way to carve out his own space within the team, is he still the same driver who once dominated the sport? Ecclestone does not believe so. He sees a Hamilton who has already achieved everything, a man who has nothing left to prove, a driver whose hunger is fading. Once, Hamilton was relentless. Once, he was the man who could never be satisfied, who always needed more, who lived for the thrill of battle. But now? Now, he has 7 world titles, over 100 Grand Prix victories, nearly every record to his name. He has conquered the sport in a way few ever have. And Ecclestone asks, what is left for him? The greats are driven by the chase, by the hunger for something they have never had. But Hamilton has had it all. If he had been denied a world championship, if he had suffered the pain of coming close but never quite getting there, perhaps there would still be that fire. But he has won everything there is to win. He has lifted the trophy more times than almost anyone in history. He has rewritten the record books. He has nothing left to chase. And Ecclestone does not believe that Hamilton can manufacture that hunger out of thin air. Formula One is not a sport that allows you to operate at anything less than absolute obsession. The moment you start to lose that edge, the moment the fire starts to dim, you are already finished. Hamilton says he is still motivated. He says he still has unfinished business. But is that the truth? Or is he simply trying to convince himself? Is he truly here to fight for another title? Or is this about something else? About legacy, about making a statement, about proving something to the world rather than to himself? Ecclestone does not see Hamilton as a man chasing another championship. He sees him as a driver trying to rewrite his own ending, trying to cement his place in history with one final dramatic act. But history is not so easily controlled. And Ferrari is not a team that bends to the will of even the greatest drivers. Hamilton may believe he can change Ferrari, that he can bring order to the chaos, that he can mold the team into something that finally delivers a championship. But Ferrari does not change. Ferrari is Ferrari. It has broken champions before. It has chewed up legends and left them disillusioned. And Ecclestone is convinced that Hamilton will be no different. There is no denying Hamilton's talent, his skill, his pedigree. But talent alone does not win championships, especially not at Ferrari. The politics, the favoritism, the internal struggles, the historical baggage, all of it weighs on a driver in ways that are impossible to quantify. And in Ecclestone's mind, Hamilton is stepping into a battle that no amount of talent can overcome. And if Ecclestone is right, if Ferrari truly does not embrace Hamilton as its leader, if the hunger within him is not as strong as it once was, if Leclerc refuses to surrender his status within the team, then this move may go down not as Hamilton's greatest triumph, but as his greatest miscalculation. The move that should have been his fairy tale ending may instead be the moment that proves that no driver, not even a 7-time world champion, is greater than the forces that govern Ferrari. Hamilton's move to Ferrari is not just another driver switch, it is a seismic shift in Formula One's landscape, a moment that has the potential to define an era, yet it is already being dissected, doubted, and dismissed by those who believe that history will repeat itself, that Ferrari will once again crumble under the weight of its own expectations, that Hamilton will find himself trapped in a political nightmare, a web of dysfunction that no amount of talent or experience can untangle. Bernie Ecclestone does not merely question whether Hamilton can win at Ferrari. He questions whether he will even last long enough to fulfill his 2-year contract. The pressure, the media frenzy, the expectations of the tifosi, the internal power struggles, the infamous chaos that has plagued Ferrari for decades, all of it is waiting for him, and if the results do not come immediately, if the dream of reviving Ferrari's championship hopes begins to unravel, then how long before disillusionment sets in? How long before Hamilton realizes that this fairy tale return to the sport's most legendary team might be a poisoned chalice? That the romanticism of driving in red does not erase the harsh reality of an organization that has been a graveyard for world champions who dared to believe they could be the one to turn it around. But doubt is not an obstacle for Hamilton. It is his greatest fuel, the very thing that has driven him to rewrite the history books time and time again. He has built his career on defying expectations, on proving the doubters wrong, on turning skepticism into motivation, and using it as a weapon against those who have ever dared to question his ability. This is not the first time he has been told that his time is up, that he has made a mistake, that he has overestimated his own influence, that he is chasing a dream that will only lead to disappointment. And every single time, he has responded in the only way he knows how, with relentless, ruthless, undeniable success. When he left McLaren for Mercedes in 2013, people laughed. They called it the worst career move in F1 history, a foolish gamble that would consign him to irrelevance. McLaren was still competitive at the time, and Mercedes had barely won a race. The consensus was clear: he had thrown away his future, walked away from a team that had given him a world championship to join a midfield outfit with no guarantee of success. But what happened? He did not just win, he built one of the most dominant dynasties the sport has ever seen. He did not just prove people wrong, he annihilated every argument against him, breaking records, redefining what it meant to be a complete driver, and becoming the face of a team that would go on to shatter every expectation. And yet, here we are again. The same narratives, the same skepticism, the same certainty from critics that Hamilton has finally made the move that will end his time at the top. But what if they are wrong again? What if this is not the beginning of the end, but the start of something even greater? What if Hamilton is not walking into a trap at Ferrari, but into an opportunity to etch his name into the sport's mythology in a way that transcends even his previous achievements? Because if he wins a championship with Ferrari, if he is the one who finally ends the longest drought in the team's history, if he overcomes every obstacle that has tripped up legends before him, then this will not just be another title, it will be the title. The one that cements his place as the greatest driver the sport has ever seen, the ultimate exclamation point on a career that has already defied every conceivable limitation. And here is the thing: Hamilton does not need Ferrari to be perfect. He does not need them to have the outright best car on the grid. He has never needed perfection to win. He has won races in cars that should not have been capable of winning. He has dragged results out of machinery that had no business fighting at the front. He has outperformed expectations at every single stage of his career, and if there is one thing that has defined him more than anything else, it is his ability to extract the absolute maximum from whatever he is given. If Ferrari gives him even a remotely competitive car, if they are close enough to Red Bull to be in the fight, then the battle is already on, because Hamilton has made a career out of turning almost good enough into championship-winning material. He does not need dominance, he needs a chance. And if Ferrari provides him with that, if they simply give him a platform that allows his strengths to shine, then all bets are off. But this will not just be a battle on the track, it will be a war of mentality, a test of endurance, a fight against the very system that has crushed the spirits of so many before him. Because Ferrari is not just another team. It is a behemoth, an entity with a political landscape unlike any other, a place where infighting and power struggles have often been more damaging than the performance of the car itself. And if Hamilton wants to succeed, he will need to do more than just drive fast. He will need to navigate the most treacherous environment in the sport, outmaneuver the forces that have historically resisted change, and impose his will on a team that has often struggled to function as a unified force. This is not just a test of skill, it is a test of resolve, of influence, of whether Hamilton can bring to Ferrari what he brought to Mercedes. A culture of excellence that leaves no room for failure, no tolerance for excuses, no patience for anything less than perfection. And then there is Charles Leclerc, the golden boy, the driver Ferrari has invested its future in, the man who has carried the weight of the Scuderia's hopes through years of disappointment. He is no passive teammate. He is no Bottas. He is not there to support Hamilton's quest for another title. He is there to win for himself. And if Leclerc establishes himself early in the season, if he takes control of the team dynamic, if Ferrari subtly shifts its priorities toward him, then Hamilton will find himself in a position he has not been in for over a decade, fighting not just against his rivals, but against his own team. And that is where the real question lies. Will Ferrari embrace Hamilton as its leader? Will they give him the control he needs to reshape the team in his image, to instill the same winning mentality that he brought to Mercedes? Or will they resist? Will they fall into their old habits? Will they make the same mistakes that have held them back for years? Because Hamilton will not settle for mediocrity. He will not accept anything less than absolute commitment to winning. And if he senses that Ferrari is not willing to match his level of intensity, if he realizes that he is fighting an internal battle he cannot win, then what happens? Does he walk away? Does he cut his losses and leave before his legacy is tainted by a project that was doomed from the start? The truth is, no one knows. This is uncharted territory. This is a collision of history, legacy, ego, and ambition unlike anything the sport has seen in years. It is either the final masterstroke of Hamilton's legendary career or the ultimate miscalculation. It is either the greatest triumph in Ferrari's modern history or another painful chapter in their book of missed opportunities. But if there is one thing that is certain, it is that nothing about this story will be quiet. Nothing about this will be uneventful. This is going to be a spectacle, a saga, a drama that will captivate the sport from the moment Hamilton steps into that red car to the moment his Ferrari journey reaches its conclusion, whatever that may be. And if history has taught us anything, it is that whenever Hamilton is doubted, whenever he is told that he has made the wrong decision, whenever the world counts him out, that is when he is at his most dangerous. And that is when he writes history. Now, the cycle begins again. The echoes of the past reverberate through the paddock, through the grandstands, through every conversation about what is to come. Once again, he is stepping into the unknown, defying logic, defying expectation, defying the very forces that have tried to shape the narrative of his career. Once again, he is choosing the hardest road, the path fraught with risk, the decision that few would dare to make. Once again, he is being doubted, by the experts, by the critics, by those who cannot fathom why a driver who has already accomplished everything would choose to gamble it all on a team that has spent years struggling to reach its own lofty standards. But this time, the stakes are not just high. They are absolute. This is not about adding another trophy to an already overflowing cabinet. This is not about chasing statistical records or padding a resume that is already unparalleled. This is about something far greater, far more profound. This is about legacy. This is about writing the final chapter in a story that has already defied the laws of sport, a story that has seen him rise from a young prodigy battling the establishment to a 7-time world champion, an icon, a force of nature. But the story is not finished yet. There is one last mountain to climb, one final mission to complete. And if he succeeds, if he can take Ferrari back to the top of Formula One, if he can drag them out of the wilderness and restore them to their former glory, there will be no debate, no hesitation, no argument left. He will be, without question, the greatest to ever do it. The challenge ahead is unlike anything he has faced before. He is not walking into a dominant team. He is not stepping into a finely tuned machine built for sustained excellence. He is entering the lion's den, a team that has been its own worst enemy, a team that has been on the verge of greatness only to falter when it mattered most. Ferrari is not just another constructor. It is an institution. It is the most revered, the most mythical, the most emotionally charged team in all of motorsport. But with that history comes weight, an unbearable, suffocating pressure that has crushed even the most talented of drivers. The Tifosi do not simply expect victory. They demand it. They live and breathe Ferrari in a way that no other fanbase does, and with that passion comes an unforgiving standard. When you succeed, you are deified. When you fail, you are discarded. Hamilton is stepping into this world with eyes wide open. He knows what it means to wear red. He knows the expectations, the scrutiny, the relentless intensity that comes with driving for Ferrari. And still, he has chosen to take the risk. Because he does not race for comfort. He does not chase the easy path. He thrives in adversity. He welcomes the challenge. But this is not just about Ferrari's past. This is about its present. This is about its future. This is about the forces that are already aligning, the rivalries that are already simmering beneath the surface, waiting to explode into something far greater, far more intense. Max Verstappen is not just the reigning champion. He is the undisputed force at the top of the sport, the driver who has reshaped Formula One in his own image, the man who has torn through the competition with a level of aggression and dominance that few have ever matched. To take him down is no small feat. It is a battle that requires perfection, not just from Hamilton himself, but from every mechanic, every engineer, every strategist within Ferrari's walls. It is a battle that will not be won by talent alone. It will require an operation so refined, so meticulous, so relentless in its pursuit of excellence that there is no room for error. Verstappen and Red Bull are a machine. They are a dynasty in the making. They do not flinch. They do not crack. If Hamilton wants to reclaim the throne, he must find a way to dismantle them piece by piece, to attack not just on the track but in the mind, to find the chinks in the armor of a team that has been nearly untouchable. And yet, Verstappen is not the only obstacle. There is another force standing in his way, a challenge that is perhaps even more personal, even more delicate. Charles Leclerc is not just another teammate. He is Ferrari's chosen one, the driver they have spent years grooming, the driver who has carried the weight of expectation on his shoulders since the moment he first stepped into a red car. He has bled for this team. He has endured heartbreak after heartbreak, mechanical failures, strategic disasters, near misses that have tested his resolve and patience. And now, just when it seemed like Ferrari was ready to build their future around him, Hamilton has arrived, a force of nature disrupting everything, demanding attention, demanding priority, demanding control. This is not just a battle for race wins. This is a battle for supremacy within Ferrari itself. Leclerc is not going to stand aside. He is not going to accept the role of second driver. He is going to fight, tooth and nail, with every ounce of skill and aggression he has. And that battle could define the entire season. But Hamilton has been here before. He has fought the internal war. He has gone head-to-head with world champions, with rising stars, with teammates who thought they could dethrone him. He has broken rivals before, shattered their confidence, dismantled their belief that they could stand on equal footing. This will be no different. If Leclerc wants to prove himself, if he wants to show that Ferrari belongs to him and not to Hamilton, he will have to do it the hard way. He will have to beat Hamilton at his own game. And history suggests that is no easy feat. All of this, the battle with Verstappen, the war within Ferrari, the pressure from the tifosi, the weight of expectation, the relentless scrutiny, it all leads to one singular moment. The 2025 season is not just another year in Formula One. It is a defining chapter in the sport's history. It is the ultimate test, the final reckoning, the moment where everything is laid bare. Either Hamilton proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is the greatest driver to ever grace the grid, or he falls short in the most spectacular, heartbreaking fashion. There is no middle ground. There is no safety net. This is all or nothing. This is the fight for number 8. This is the fight for immortality. The world is watching. The stage is set. And it all begins now.